joining on tonight. Again, my name is Brittany Burrell, and I am a part of this amazing family known as Generational Wealth. And we focus on 5 keys here in Generational Wealth, guys. And those 5 keys are spiritual development, mental development, I actually say it wealth-wise, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, mental wealth, physical and financial wealth, guys. And we really hone in on those areas, because once you hone in on those specific topics, then there's a plethora of subsidiary things that you can focus on. You think about finance, you got credit, you got your stock portfolio, your crypto portfolio, budgeting. There's so many categories within each of those topics. So I felt like those were the main things that we all can focus on so that we can continuously grow, right? So if you are really in tune with growing every single day of your life for the rest of your life, drop some ones in the chat box for me. If you're in tune with growing every day for the rest of your life, and not just within ourselves, guys, but leaving something positive behind when people encounter you. That's a question you want to ask yourself is, as you begin to grow, as you continuously grow within yourself, what type of impact do you leave on people when you're in passing, in conversation, right? A lot of people have this thing where they want to keep their head down and kind of not speak to people in passing because they don't want to build a relationship. I'm in my new place, and well, it's going on my 3rd month, but just been in my space. I look at people and I observe people. Because I'm always like, hey, how you doing? And it's like, I don't want to come over your house and have dinner, but my mom taught me to be, cordial, and I think a lot of people in this day and age, they don't even know what that means. That's a level of communication. They don't know how to do that because now we're so used to technology and not that human interaction. Then you had the pandemic, so they closed people in for a while. So just getting to know people again, but never forget to leave an impact with people. Regardless of where you are and what you're doing, always leave a mark. All right. Tonight, I want to just do something totally different. I know I speak about the spiritual and mental development a lot, but I want to ask you, what does the word weekend mean to you? What? What does the word weekend mean to you? All right. Y'all drop in the chat box when y'all hear the word weekend. What's the first thing that come to mind? Right. What does the weekend mean to you? Right. I was sitting here, I'm working on this academy that I'm building. A lot of you guys know me as a trader and a musician, but I'm working on building this academy out. And I was sitting here and I paused for a second and I said, God, thank you. Because as I'm sitting here, even though I'm falling asleep doing it, but as I'm sitting here going through this big presentation that I'm building out, I was like, I see income still coming into my house. I'm getting notifications of income I'm still receiving from my crypto accounts and different things. And I'm just like, God, thank you, because that's what the weekend is. That's what the weekend is. The weekend, and by dictionary, guys, they say it's a period of time, okay, from Friday to Sunday evening. That's what the definition says, especially regarded as a time for leisure. So society has defined the weekend as a period from Friday to Sunday. But if you read after the comma, it says especially a time of leisure. So I want us to remove the what's that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's really like maybe 2 days, a day and a half of leisure. And I want you to see your life as the weekend, right? Some people call it retirement, but we ain't gonna call it retirement because I think that's overrated to a certain degree, because a lot of people's mind when they hear the word retire, sit at home and watch TV all day. But if you do that, you're idle. Your body isn't moving. You're not growing. You're not stimulating your mind. And so I believe we should live for the weekend, and I believe the weekend is a lifestyle. All right. And so you guys dropped in the chat box that the weekend means to you. Somebody running errands, rest and help with the kids every day, weekend, every day. I like it. There you go. Steve got it. Relaxation, recharging errands, right? So the weekend, I want us to look at it as leisure. And so they say leisure means free time and use of free time for enjoyment, right? So oftentimes, if you really study a lot of personal development and spiritual development, you'll cross a lot of the same authors. We all read a lot of the same books, but our interpretations will be different depending on how much you do study and how much you really dissect what you're studying, right? So use of time for enjoyment. And so I want you guys to understand is that as we build a life for the weekend lifestyle, guys, what does that leisure look like to you, right? Have you identified how to even get there? Okay. So we don't want to simply just live for the Friday to Sunday period. You want your life to be fulfilled, right? So a lot of times when we're studying this information, people don't realize is that we hear about our thoughts a lot. We hear about how our brain works and stuff like that. But how many thoughts are intentional about headed towards your goals, right? How often do you have time to think about your goals? What are your dominating thoughts? Are your dominating thoughts that, man, I got to get up and work in the morning, right? Sometimes it's hard for people to be present even on this phone call on this event, because they're thinking about, I got to hurry up and get ready for work in the morning, right? So they're physically here. We can see them, but their mind is already went past overnight. They skipped over sleeping, right? They're already in the morning. So you got to think about how your life is every single day. Are you living? Are you physically present? And listen, this moment when I can see you guys and hear you guys and see your names on this call, this is a blessing, right? A lot of times being present is often missed because we're too mentally concerned about other things. So God will send you a message and a blessing. This moment, breathing and being able to interact with each other is a blessing. But somebody in so many different situations, they're not able to be present because they're too busy thinking about the things that they got to take care of. Right. And I got to get up on time. I got to pay this Friday. And it's like, and then you got to snap yourself back into focus mode. But something might have been said and something may have been done that was supposed to be for you, but you missed it because your thoughts are consumed with worry and concern. I always say that worry is like praying for the worst, right? So then if you're not even able to be present because you are concerned about things that's going on, that also shows your level of faith and spiritual maturity, because you didn't give it to God, you gave it to yourself. And so not only can you're not able to be present in this moment, but you're carrying the cross at the same time, right? So you got to stop carrying your cross and allow God to do that for you. He said, I will cast all your cares on me, right? So, but what we too often do, guys, is because we're not in such a strong relationship, we forget, right? We forget that he's able to carry that for us. And we only send him, oh Lord, come on, B. We only send him emergency crosses. Wow. We only send him emergency crosses. But you got to understand, he's here for you every single day, a day-to-day life. He's here for you every single day, and he will supply all your needs. But if you don't believe that, or if you don't spend enough time with the thought because your thoughts are consumed with everything else, that your faith gets saturated, right? It gets saturated with so many other things that your faith cannot stand on top of the trash. Your faith should be on top of the trash, not the trash on top of your faith, right? So it's hard for you to access your faith because your dominating thoughts is not faith. Your dominating thoughts is the world. So you have to be careful of that, so that you can allow yourself to cast those cares. And so now you can actually think about, what in the world does leisure mean to me, right? Have you identified what it means to even get there, right? How many guys want to have the weekend lifestyle, right? We ain't talking about, we've established, we're not talking about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're talking about free time of enjoyment. So when you guys hear me say the weekend, it's not isolated to a day of the week. It's a moment of time, right? And you allocate where you want that time to go. All right. So how many of you guys are open to enjoyment on a frequent basis, right? We're not saying go out here and party and get turned and all. You can do that too. And we're not saying neglect your responsibilities, but wouldn't it feel good if you could just laugh all day and just goof all day? And I mean, some people still do that anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Without obligation, right? And not because you want to. I mean, you could be places that you want to be and not because you have to be there, right? So you have to identify what leisure, what free time means to you and what tasks will you be doing within that time, right? So if I say, okay, what does leisure look like to me? Like when I first moved, man, like last month was a weird month for me, the past 2 months, because I was so used to I was overworking myself. I was overcommitting. I was always on the go. I was just doing all these things. And so every single area of my life has had a complete transition. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I need something to do. I felt like idle. And the thing about it, guys, is I had figured out how to create income without labor. And so because I wasn't laboring anymore, I felt like I wasn't being productive. But physical work doesn't mean success. Physical effort doesn't mean growth, doesn't mean progression, right? And so when I had that revelation, I said, okay, cool, let me kick back. Let me focus on some other things. So now I'm focusing on, other endeavors. But I was so used to that momentum, I thought I wasn't moving. Thought I wasn't being productive, right? So you have to identify what that looks like to you, because it may feel distant, that time, that space where we say a time of enjoyment, it may seem distant to you guys, but I want you to think about school, okay? Anybody ever been to school before? Elementary school, middle school, high school, hell, pre-K. Anybody ever been to school before? Yes or no? In the chat box, right? But typically when you hit, kindergarten, you already know. When you go to kindergarten, guys, how many years do how many grade levels do you got to go past before you graduate, right? When you go to middle school, how many grade levels do you got to pass before you graduate? And then when you get to high school, how many more grade levels is that before you got to graduate? So we already we enroll in these different schools, and we already know, all right, cool, I got to be here for 4 years. I got to be here for 5 years. I got to be here for 3 years. You already know how long you're supposed to be in place, right? And most people never question it. I mean, you may start getting a little irritated and lazy only in later years, but ultimately, you got to ride that thing on out. You got to show up and you got to wait for graduation. Well, what does graduation even mean? It means successful completion of a course, a study at a university, college, or school for which you received a degree or a diploma. So my question for you, when are you going to graduate into your free time of enjoyment? Right? When are you going to graduate? And I want you to take the philosophy, though. You already know that you got to be committed. And if we add, I think Moody dropped, it was 12 years. If you add it all up, it's 12 years. Now, you spent 12 years of your life that never ended in freedom. Right? You spent 12 years knowing it wasn't going to lead to freedom. It was going to lead to a job. It was going to lead to a career. Now, nothing wrong with a job, because that's the first active source of income. That's the way you start making a living, right? But what happens, guys, is we get so caught up in time. I don't know where it comes from after we graduate. I mean, time seems to be such a hindrance for a lot of people. They start calculating so many things, because when you're younger, your younger years, you're just going with the flow. You're showing up, you're being consistent, you're doing the work until the date comes. And the date is far out. It's projected. It's going to be 10, 12 years before you leave here. So you have to have that same amount of mindset when it comes to your goals. But you can't allow the graduation. The thing is, the graduation date is going to come based off of your habits, based off of your philosophy, based off of your distribution of your income and your time, right? So you give yourself a graduation date. But guess what? If you don't make this graduation, what do you got to do? You get ready for the next one, and you stay put until you graduate. That's the same thing when it comes to different levels of success in your life. You stay put until you graduate. You still show up. You still be consistent. You still do the work, right? So how do you graduate so that you can access that free time, so you can access that dream career, the travel, the philanthropy, the new skills, right? Did you set the goal? Did you write the goal? Right? Did you plan the goal? For instance, I'm in a space right now where I'm super nerd out. I'm not doing anything. I'm just studying so much information right now. I'm in a rabbit hole, right? I'm gaining 2 new skill sets. I'm launching another business. I just launched another business last month. And so I'm just in this space where I said, you know what? Let me slow down being there for everybody else, and let me make a decision to be there for me. Because what'll happen, guys, is you get so over committed doing everything for everybody else, but you got to sit there and ask yourself, when are they going to step up and be there for themselves? Excuse my language, but you can't be everybody's Captain Save-A-Ho. All right. So you have to understand when it's the right time and when you're actually deserved. You have to work where you're deserved. Why is it that you are working your butt off and you're reading the books and you're listening to the audios and you're developing your relationship, but the person that's calling you is not doing it, but you feel responsible for their lack? Guys, when you are giving so much of yourself, you begin to stifle people. meaning you handicap them. You begin to allow them to ask for so many handouts that they no longer know how to be there for themselves. So you also have to think about, are you holding somebody hostage? Are you holding up somebody else's success? Because don't confuse kindness and service for stifling somebody, right? And then we may be stifled. We may be the person that's stifling somebody else. It's time for us to step up. It's time for us to carry, and it's time for us to give our crosses over to God. It's time for us to be able to say, you know what? I don't want to borrow any more money from nobody else. I just want to buckle down, really make a budget, and really do this. It's gotta be a point, right? Man, you know what? I'm tired of just eating out all the time. I gotta stop eating out all the time. It's gotta be a breaking point, guys. You gotta do an assessment on your life and the lives of those around you, right? Somebody may call you, hey, let me get $20 this week. And it's okay because we're giving people. But as you begin to shift in your paradigm, at some point that's got to start kind of like bothering you a little bit, because it's like, bro, all right, now we getting a little old now. You're still asking for $20, right? So now you got to step up, and your responsibility say, listen, friend, this is what I've been reading lately. This is what I've been studying. It's been helping me to make some more money, man. I would love for you to read this with me. Instead of making them feel bad about it, just act like it's something that you can do together. Hey, bro, can we do this together? You know, I want your feedback on this. And then they'll have a paradigm shift, and then you can call them, ask them for $20. Right? But did you plan it? Did you execute it? You know, did you ask God to bless your journey? Did you ask God to bless your business? A lot of people bite at the first thing, an opportunity, because they can wiggle the money in front of you. You could just bite off of it. But was God in the center of that decision? And if he's not, don't do it, because you can always discern that. If you have a spiritual relationship, a spiritual foundation, you can always discern that something doesn't feel right, right? But before you ask him, my question for you is, are you even worth the investment? Are you even worth the investment? Meaning, would you even bet on you? Because you can pray all day long. You can make the plans all day. You can put the affirmations all over the house. That's all good and gravy. But when it boils down to it, are your actions worth the investment? Are you an idle person? Do you procrastinate? Right? Do you just bark your affirmations all day, but they ain't no bark in your action? Right? So you have to make sure, you know, God is always going to be there for you. But at the end of the day, he's going to give you their desires. All right. And a burning desire is literally, it's always backed by action. I can tell when somebody has a massive obsession about something, because they not only when they stop talking about it, but they're always doing something about it. Right. They're always doing something about it. Right. So, you know, one thing you guys have to understand is, how do I access that graduate? How do I graduate to that free time? How do I graduate to that enjoyment of free time? So you have to establish your cost of living. You have to establish a budget. You have to speak with your spouse, speak with your children, speak to the people that's always maybe asking you for money, or maybe you need to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I got to buckle down. All right. You got to make that budget. You got to decide, like, this account is strictly for bills and this account is strictly for savings. Leave the card at home. All right. Isolate the card. Also identify how many active sources of income do you have? So we have our job income. All right. Some of you guys may have side hustles. You might do DoorDash, Instacart. Some of you guys may, be chefs, right? Whatever it is. Some of you guys may be coaches, teachers, and stuff like that on the side, where you actually getting, extra stream of income. Like me, I'm a musician. So I play at church and different gigs here and there. And that's the extra, that's like extra, that's called active income. It requires your time, it requires your labor, right? So you take that active income and you identify how many sources that you have. And when you do your budget, you want to see, all right, this is all the expenses that I have. This is my cost of living. Guys, when I say cost of living, I'm not just talking about your bills. I'm talking about your gas, your food, and baby kids. I'm talking about your travel, your leisure. What's your cost of living? And you can always find somewhere in your area in your life to reduce the cost and move that cost over to a savings, right? So you got to do a price comparison. What's my cost of living and what's my income? And if there's nothing left over, you got to hustle and bustle. You got to find another source of active income. It's only a temporary sacrifice, right? It's just a temporary sacrifice. So then once you do all that, guys, now you say, all right, for instance, we've been doing a health challenge and it's already been a month tomorrow. All right, 21 days tomorrow, where we were saying we're going to work out at least 4 to 5 times a week. And we basically been doing it. And if you did it, you drop it in the chat, and that's an accountability measure, right? So boom, 21 days actually flew by. I didn't realize it was already March 9th tomorrow. So you set a goal. All right, boom, I'm gonna do this first 21 days. Don't focus on the next 5 years. You're gonna overwhelm yourself, you're gonna quit. So you know what? For these 7 days, I'm gonna do this first. And then you just commit to another 7, and you commit to another 7. Because the key is that you're building these blocks, you're building these increments so that you can begin to access the habit. It's not enough to have just a goal, family. You got to evolve mentally. You got to break that procrastination barrier. You got to break that laziness barrier. You got to break that lack of discipline barrier. So you start with small commitments and you allow them to build over time. And the next thing you know, 6, 12, 2, 5 years later, you're still doing the same thing, because now it's second nature to you and not out of obligation, right? And so now once you do all that, you begin to allocate your wealth. Because I want you guys to understand that your wealth, your portfolio is your insurance against the world. Okay. Your wealth is your insurance against what the world claims. Anybody ever seen, we have different accidents that may happen, insurance, you got car insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance, medical insurance, you got all these insurances, because what you're saying to the insurance company is that I don't have enough money, but I'm going to need you when I need it. Okay, that's basically what it means. They're taking more of the responsibility. You're only paying them, I pay $28 a month for my life insurance, and it's almost $250,000 policy, right? So they're taking more of the liability. I'm only paying them $28, right? So, but they're taking a bet on me because I qualify. I have a certain health, blah 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 blah. So you gotta realize, guys, when the pandemics come, right? When sickness comes, emergencies comes, whatever is happening, right? Unexpected expenses, self-care, maintenance, death, college tuition. When all this stuff come knocking on your door, if you follow the wealth principles and you allocated your money to these different areas, then you are your own insurance policy. You become your own insurance policy, because when you ever had an accident, you got insurance, you got to send in a claim, right? So guess what? The pandemic happened. That was a claim, but because you built your wealth portfolio, you was able to pay it, right? That was a hospital bill, but because you did right with your money, you can pay that claim, right? All I'm saying is things are going to happen in your life, and when you become more responsible and more aware and actually set a plan of action on how to accumulate the wealth that you deserve and accumulate the wealth that you need to obtain this graduation to enjoyment of time, right? It will all depend on your philosophy and your allocation of money. Most people will budget in consumption, but they will not budget in building wealth. Anybody ever been there? Ones in the chat box. I've been there. Draw some ones in the chat box. If you would budget in taking a trip, spending some money, blah, 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 you would budget that in, but you would not budget in building wealth, right? And so guess what? Because we did it for so long, that became our habit, that became our lifestyle, that became our identity, right? People find money for the concert, the getaway, all that. But tonight, or some moment, guys, I hope as soon as possible, that you realize you find active income. Never be ashamed of working. Never be ashamed of having a job. It irritates my soul when people are irritated. Work the bag, because the goal is not the job. The job is a source. It's a tool. So be grateful for the tool. Now, you can be irritated with the folks on the job. I get it, because everybody ain't the same. But at the end of the day, if somebody is paying you some money and you got some money left over, guys, take that source and start building up what we call passive income. All right. Take that income and go stake your money on a crypto portfolio. Right. Because then what you want to do, you want to set a passive goal. Please write that down. You want to set a passive goal. Right. The passive goal for me is I want to have somebody sending me at least 7 to 8 figures a year worth of passive income. So for the next 5, 10, 15, however long it takes, I'm distributing and allocating all money to I talked to my tax guy today. I said, listen, he said, B, how you want me to do your taxes? I said, he said, you trying to buy a house? I said, I want to buy a house, but it's not going to make me, I said, I will only buy a house will be more of an investment. on the business side of things. I said, it's not going to make me jump, some people love that stuff. They love buying houses and all that. They don't move me. I'm more of a creative person. I like art, music and stuff. And so I said, listen, let's not do it that way. He said, well, he said, just do my taxes to save me some money. That's what I said. And I was sitting there thinking, I just want to invest. I told him, I just want to invest. I want to allocate all my money to my investments, because if you stake your money on a crypto portfolio, guys, whether that's crypto.com, whether that's Celsius, Exodus, you can start stashing all your money into these exchanges where everybody you go to, so you got a savings account, they're not paying you nothing. But go to a staking account and they're going to pay you. I'm getting staking rewards on my screen every day. Reward every single week. Reward just from having my money on this exchange. And what you're doing is actually providing what they call liquidity. Okay, you're actually adding more money so money can circulate. That's what you're doing. And they're basically saying thank you for allowing us to have a big market, a volume of money. And we're going to pay you this particular amount of money every single week or every single year for your participation. Right? That's all that means. All right. The savings account is saying the same thing, but they're giving you 0.01. All right. It's ridiculous. So boom, you allocate. All right. So family, we sit down with the kids, we sit down with the wife, we sit down with the spouse, and we sit down with the people that still calling us to borrow money. Listen, that is over with. We can't do that no more. This is the game plan. This is what we got left over. We need to cook more. We need to save more. We need to stop eating out, because what you're going to do is keep living for the dictionary weekend and not the lifestyle weekend. Stop living for the dictionary weekend. All right. That's not the goal. The goal is for your lifestyle to be a weekend. So we allocate these funds to a staking account. They're paying you 10% per year. They're paying you 20%. Some of them paying as high as 17%. All right. Then you take another portion and you put it in some stocks and you put it in some dividends, some stocks that'll pay you for being ownership of part of the company. Hey, I'm gonna pay you $5,000 per year. I'm gonna pay you $1,000 a week because you bought these stocks. You're a purchaser with the company. You have certain ownership. We're gonna pay you out this. So we're gonna allocate you. You never have to lift a finger. You never have to cuss your manager out. You never have to get out of bed. They are paying you dividends. Right? Then you go buy some real estate property because you got your credit right. Now you got a line of credit. You can go buy a little old busted down house, depending on where you at, 20, 50, 30K, flip that house. Now you got some passive people paying you rent. Because if you drop dead today, guess what? Your family has still going to receive those dividends. Your family's still going to see their crypto staking. Your family's going to still receive their rent from those tenants. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So the weekend begins when you allocate your money the right way. Come on, B. Your lifestyle, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. 5, 10. If you do this 5 years straight, 10 years straight, you're going to look up one day like, dang, I'm getting this much every week now, right? You got to make a plan. You got to get obsessed with more capital to have more money babies. More money babies. That's the whole game. This says generational wealth, because we don't want just physical wealth. You don't want to be just wealthy and you out of shape and you can't make it up steps, right? You want to be physically wealth, spiritually wealth. So when adversity hits you, you know that your first instinct is to call on God. You want to have mental wealth, because when people come at you wrong, you know how to properly communicate. You know when to separate yourself from foolishness. You want to have emotional wealth, because when people cut you off in traffic, you don't flip a bird and shoot out. You just keep calm and you keep it moving. And you want to have what we call financial wealth. And that's when your weekend begins. Right? So please, please, please take the time, pause, slow down, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do to ensure that you can have guys, you be like, man, that's going to 5 years. It's going to take too long. You didn't say that when you was in high school. That's why I brought up the school idea. You was excited to go to 6th grade. You was excited to go to 9th grade. Right? All you was excited about was just going to the next level, 1 grade per year, the next grade per year. And that's how you got to think about your life. Drop down the weight per year, right? Read another book of the Bible per year. Just do something per year. Every year is a new level. Every year you got through the semester. That's all we're doing. We're just getting through the semesters. All right. But we're going to call them seasons. We're just getting through the seasons. Right. So really take this thing seriously, guys. Like I said, I'm in a rabbit hole. I'm studying information. Maybe you got to be that person for your family. Maybe your spouse, your partner, your friend, they may not be on board yet. They may not believe in what you're saying, but that's all we have to do. If everybody will follow that regimen, everybody can literally go get the ideal career that they wanted. Right? You can go be the school teacher because you actually just want to be a school teacher. Because for the past 10 years, you've been building up a 7-figure portfolio. So whatever the school pays you, it don't even make you nudge because you're already wealthy. Somebody say, I am wealthy in the chat box. You can go be the chef that you wanted to be. You can go travel the world. You could be you could be an artist. You could be a painter. You could be the architect. You could be the coach, the mentor, because you followed the plan. You stuck to the plan. The plan became your identity. And then when you look up, you're not doing things out of obligation. You're not doing things because you have to do it. Now you're doing things because it's the weekend. Right? It's now the weekend. It's a lifestyle. So I wanted to come from a different perspective because I think a lot of times we write the goals, we put the pictures up, we put the images, but you got to really pause your life. Like, I'm so grateful that my life has slowed down to the capacity that it has because it gave me room to have a conversation with myself. Say, where do we want to go? What do we want to achieve? What do we want to do? And so once you get things on track, then you can go out there and start serving other people and do all that stuff again. But you have to ensure that you don't neglect your own wealth because you're busy pouring so much over into other people. You have to hold people accountable for their own growth and their responsibilities as well. I got somebody right now called me, was it yesterday? I don't even know if it was yesterday or today. They called me about a horrible financial decision that was made, and it irritated me. And I said, I don't want to know nothing else about this conversation because it warped my energy a little bit. Basically, somebody went and did something they couldn't afford to do. I'm like, why would you do that? Then they had to get a job just to pay for what they just purchased, a second job. Well, that don't make sense. It made no sense. Now they have no life, right? I'm like, why would you do that? But guess what? They don't want to read the books that you recommend, but they'll call you and borrow money in a second. That's what I'm telling you guys. You got to start holding people accountable, right? On my to-do list is to buy Richest Man in Babylon, Science of Getting Rich, and Think and Grow Rich. And I'm making gift bags. That's actually I'm going to be known for doing it. I'm actually going to make the gift bags. If you ever hit me up and you got something going on financially, I understand things are going to happen. And even as we're building our portfolio, things are going to happen, guys, right? But at least you are sticking to the plan. But people who don't want to listen to you, give them a gift bag. Just gift bag and a nice note. Give them the information. Teach them how to fish for themselves, because now we can have a community where we all have the same knowledge. We all can rise up together. We all can build a lifestyle of freedom, and we all can create our own insurance against these different disasters, these different things that are going along around the world. That's absolutely right. Way more valuable than you ever hitting me up in my Cash App, right? Because remember, the day you dropped dead, but you gave this person a seed, all right? Now they can go live for themselves. They can live on their own. So you got to ask yourself, are you just going with the flow? Are you just busy? Guys, I'm telling you, being busy will make you neglect your goals. I don't care how much you say it. I don't care how much you sit around your house. You got to make sure you prioritize it and it becomes a part of your lifestyle. I am purposely very, very careful this year of where I say yes to. I'm kind of paranoid. I got a homeboy, AB, I want him to sit down and talk about, he want to create this NFT movement thing. And I'm just like, I said yes. Then he called me again. I was like, dang, I don't know if I'm ready to really do that. I don't know if I really want to do that yet. Side note, I start my music classes on Thursday. All right. They can't be interrupted. I got a plan. I got to stick to it. Right. So what's your plan, ladies and gentlemen? Will you see your goals on that paper? Do you see it in your actions? Do you see it in your lifestyle? That's the question. When you see your goals on that piece of paper, when you see those pictures and that images, and you see that screensaver that you done had on there for 2 years, right? It ain't about the external plan, guys. It's about right here. What is your heart saying? And what is your identity saying? Because your identity is going to show everything. You also have to be careful of who you are around certain environments. For instance, you may only be clean at work because it requires you to be clean. But when you come home, your true identity is that you're dirty. You also have to be mindful that when certain people come around, do you stop cursing when certain people stop coming, when certain people come around? But when you can leave, your identity is just let it pop off at the roof. I'm still working on that. It come out of it sometimes, right? But that means you have to separate yourself from environments, peoples, and the job so you can get a clear view of who you really are. Because you may be making modifications, you may be adapting, you may be being a chameleon in certain environments and around certain people because you are playing the part for them. But who are you? Okay. So a lot of times we can be faced with an identity crisis because we've been so busy playing a part and we've been so used to going to certain environments and being around certain people that we don't even know who we are no more. Okay. So take a step back and say, well, who am I? Do I really like burgers, or do I just eat them because my coworkers eat them? Right. Do I really like filling up my tank, or do I like to ride around on E? You know what I'm saying? You just got to figure out who you are so you can make those modifications, because you can confuse who you are pretending to be when the time is right. You can confuse that person for who you really are, and that's not who you are, right? You may not want to go to the club, but when certain people come around, they entice you to go to the club because you feel like you owe your friend a favor, right? You may not be a club hopper. You may be wanting to sit at home and chill and just watch something nerdy, all right? That's when you got to be careful, because now you're allocating, oh my goodness, because now you're delegating time to a false person. Okay. And that time could have been used to who you want to become. But you're using the time to stay in this identity crisis. And so you never evolve. You're always trying to be for somebody else and never be for you. And so a whole year goes by and you never put the time in to become the person you need to be so you can enjoy that, have that weekend of enjoyment, that life of enjoyment, the growth that you need to see. You got to learn to separate and say no when the time is right so that you can continue to grow and so you can become the person that you need to become. Because remember, guys, it's easy to get caught up in doing all this stuff for other people. And you're trying to flex and you're trying to be nice. Being nice, listen, being nice can also mess you up. Okay? Being nice can get you overweight. Being nice can have you broke. Being nice can have you out of a home. Being nice can mess up your credit. Being nice can have you around the wrong type of people. You got to have a level of awareness when it's time, when it's a time and a place when people deserve your niceness. Do not put yourself in a predicament where it can create a disaster in your life and now you paying a price because you was trying to be nice. Hey, yeah, you can get that car on my credit. No, I'm not doing that. What you doing? What's your credit? Why you ain't working on your credit? Work on your credit, right? That's what y'all got to do, right? Hey, man, can I get a phone on your line? No, you need to pay off all them phone lines you got, not have a phone, and then you can do it. Because what happens is, guys, you got to look at people's errors and mistakes as their identity. Because when you start to merge yourself with their identity crisis, guess what? It's going to roll up into your lifestyle. Now you paying off the credit. Now you paying off the debt because you were nice. I don't know where that came from. I guess somebody need to hear it. All right. But you got to be careful. So who do you want to be? Okay. Who do you want to be? And don't isolate it in 2022. It's just who you want to be. It doesn't, no date matters. The date don't freaking matter. Right. We be grateful. Be grateful every day that the sun rises, but stop marrying the date. Please. That is what is causing so many people to get discouraged and just give up. Stop marrying the date and marry the goal, marry the habit, marry the process. I'll be looking in the mirror and I just want this weight gone. All right, B, 12 months. We're gonna see what it's like in 12 months. I gotta keep saying it to myself. Shout out to my best friend, Kiana. She said, dog, I help her sometimes with her business. She said, dog, she said, I see my dog. I can see some change in your body. I said, what you mean? She said, I can gauge it by that shirt you wear, one of her business shirts. And so you can see it. She said, yeah, you used to have a little pudge. It's going down a little bit. I said, I appreciate that. So then I went to the gym today and I did 2 times the work I've been doing. That made me feel good. Compliment people, right? I'm paying for it. My legs feel like Bambi, but it made me feel good. It gave me some adrenaline, it gave me some excitement. So congratulate people for their effort, right? Congratulate. You may not see the $50,000 portfolio yet, but you got $50 in there. It used to be 0. When you ever feel yourself not having gratitude, look back at what you used to be. Man, but I know, I should have about 3,000 by now. No, you used to have 0. All right. Always remember who you used to be and where you're headed, guys. But just be present enough so you don't miss your blessings, and be present enough to always take action. And don't overexert yourself when you want to quit. All right. So I hope that you guys live for the weekend. And when you finally reach your weekly weekend, okay, you got to know what you're doing every day. Maybe you want to do more church work. Maybe you want to do more community service. Maybe you want to do more coaching. Maybe you want to open your own business, develop a new skill set. All right. Know who you are when you actually arrive. Okay. Because you're going to get there and you'll be like twiddling your thumbs. Cool. We know you're going to take care of your mama. We know you're going to buy everybody a house. We know all that stuff. But after all that's done, because that's just a transaction, what are you doing to serve a purpose every day? What are you doing to impact a life? That's where the fun begins. All right. Because believe me, everybody don't have a weekend. Sometimes I'm sitting at home. I'm like, dang, I can't call nobody because everybody at work. Like straight up, I literally be like, bro, I want to hop up. Like I used to just hop up and travel by myself all the time, solo for a while. But I don't want to do that no more. I want to go somewhere with somebody. I want to like, hey, dog, let's hop on the flight. But I need y'all to follow the plan. Okay. I need it. Yo, let's get it. Okay. But at the same time, don't forget, stick to the plan. And if you make it a plan, make the plan your lifestyle. That's all you really got to do. Make the plan your identity. Don't forget, budget. What's left over, allocate, make a sacrifice, and stick to dividends, staking, real estate, and business. Oh yeah, and investing in businesses that you don't have to like particularly be involved in. You could be a silent investor. You may have now, guys. I know some of our friends and family want to launch a business. I get that, but I also want you to think about where you want to go. All right, so you could be a silent investor, and maybe that could be a small portion of your portfolio. But look for people who are well established. Hey, I would love. Do you offer any, investment opportunities? Look for ways where if you give somebody X amount of money, they'll pay you out this amount per month for the rest of your life. Somebody drop in the chat box for the rest of my life. Rest of my life. Rest of my life. You need to set a passive income goal. I ain't never said that one. You need to set a passive income goal. I want to be earning $1 million a year passively. I want to be earning $50,000 a year passively. I want to be earning $100 a year passively for the rest of my life. And guess what? The beauty in all of this, guys, is that your passive income can outlive you. Isn't that beautiful? It can outlive you. It can go to the next generation. It can go to your family and your friends. It can outlive you for as long as you want it to. All right. That's what's so dope. That's generational wealth. All right. When your passive income can outlive you, that's dope. All right. So let's get it, family. I'm excited. I'm super grateful for where God has taken all of us. Continue to stay towards the mark. You may be exhausted. You may be exhausted. You may be tired. It's okay. Sit at home and watch TV. Just take a break. Disconnect. All right? Just disconnect. And take the time to focus on where you want to go. Right? I've been binging on more nerdy stuff than, I ain't gonna lie, I was on what's that show? Amazon Prime at night for a little bit, trying to kill some time. I was like, that ain't getting me nowhere. I felt like I was turning into a potato, all right, mentally. All right. So I switched it up and I started back studying a lot again. So you guys have to just be aware of your goals and take some days where you just binge on knowing what you want to do. Maybe you want to be a chef, study all the chefs, go on a binge on Instagram or Facebook and look for these different people who have what you want. Look at what they did. Look at their story. Look at their history. Get inspired. All right. And get to work. Do what you got to do to get what you want, guys. We're only passing through this life. All right. Wait a minute. You pass it through life, but passive will outlive you. There you go. You're passing through life, but your passive will outlive you. I love y'all. Have an amazing night. Well, our hashtag is literally what we just say, what did I just tell y'all to drop? Passive income outlives. I want to make it short. What Moody said, passive income outlives me. I know it's kind of long. Let's just do rest of my life. Rest of my life. Y'all know what we're saying. Rest of my life is the hashtag. Y'all do me a favor. Go to the generational wealth chat or any team chat or family chat that you're a part of. Go to the chat and rest and hashtag rest of my life. Rest of my life. Somebody needed to hear this call tonight, and hopefully they're pressed to play back, because we got to get this right, y'all. There's so many families, there's so many generations, there's so many cultures that don't know that if we just started at so young, if we started at 10, 13, 18 years old, just putting that money into these passive sources, guys, nobody would be out here depressed and stressed and overworked and gaining weight and angry and irritated. All of these physical elements are so damaged because we don't know how to play the game. All right. Then it rolls over to your mental, then it rolls over to your spiritual, and everything just starts getting distorted. All right. But I pray that you guys continue to be the hero for your family, continue to carry on every single day. And when you get discouraged, drop what you need in the chat box. We're praying for everybody all the time. Don't be out here silently dealing with stuff. All right. Drop your prayer. Even if you don't want to describe it, just say, hey, y'all, pray for me. All right. And we'll pray for you. But I love y'all. I ain't seen nobody drop the hashtag, or maybe my phone don't do not disturb. Anyway, y'all have a blessed night. Playback coming soon. And let's get it. Passive, passive, passive. Let's go.